All right. Welcome into the 2025 NFL preview series here on the Shoemake Take. And we continue today in the AFC South talking about a team that once again, just like every other year, is in the exact same position. I'm talking about the Indianapolis Colts. Let's break down their season. Hope you all are having a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome freaking day. My name is Garrett Shoemake, and this is the Shoemake Take. Hope you guys are doing well. So, before we begin talking about the Colts, I want to quickly I want to quickly brief you guys down on how this series will work. For those of you that want to jump right into the discussion, the timestamp is going to be right here on screen. It's also going to be down there like on the YouTube playhead, also in the video description. So if you want to go ahead and jump into that discussion, by all means, knock yourself out. But for those of you that want to hear how the structure is going to work or how the season preview is going to work, here we go. First things first, we're going to recap last season and also their offseason, including mentioning their free agent additions, who they lost, who they drafted, along with mentioning any notable coaching changes. And for the Colts, we got a big one we have to talk about. And along with that, I'll conclude by saying, is this team improved? Yes or no? The next thing, I'm going to state my overall thoughts on what this team will look like. Will they be good? Will they be bad? Mid? Right? And then we'll also mention the strengths and weaknesses with the team, talking about why I think it will be strong or weak, whether it's because of the players, the talent, the depth, etc. So we'll break all of that down roster-wise. Next, we will analyze the schedule and officially give my prediction. We'll start with looking at the strength of schedule. Is it easy? Is it difficult? Looking at how good their schedule is in general. Also, we'll identify key matchups. I have 4 games for the Colts here that I think are very, very important for them. Continuing, we will look at their division. Where do they stand within the AFC South? Where do I have them finishing? Their playoff chances, and then we'll officially end it or wrap this up with a win-loss prediction, my official record prediction for the Colts. And then to wrap it all up officially, we will look at some storylines to look at for someone who wants to look at the Colts or watch the Colts this year. Here's some things that I will be looking at and following the Colts for this upcoming season. So a little bit of a rocky finish to that explanation, but with that being said, let's jump into the conversation breaking down the Colts 2025 season. So we'll start with the 2024 recap of what happened. Last year, the Colts finished 8-9, and this team was a solid unit across the board for the most part. However, poor play from Anthony Richardson held this team back a lot. Anthony Richardson was a massive disappointment in 2024. And quite frankly, it looked like he really didn't progress all that much. He still got hurt, which slowed down his progression as well. And then we had the issue 3/4 of the way through the season where he took himself out of a play because he was tired, quitting on his team essentially. Then he lost his starting job for a week, which the entire roller coaster of Anthony Richardson in 2024 is something the Colts cannot have again. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to get any better. But moving into their offseason, for the first big thing, we'll start with a coaching change. They fired defensive coordinator Gus Bradley after having one of the worst units in the NFL and replaced him by defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo coming in from Cincinnati. I really do not like the move of Lou Anarumo just because last year the Bengals defense being so bad put a very sour taste in my mouth. And there is one thing I understand, and I will not acknowledge that Lou Anarumo is a highly respected defensive coordinator coordinator coach in the NFL in its entirety. So, and I don't think he is a bad coach. A lot of the issues that the Bengals had on defense was their lack of talent, so that has to be acknowledged. But at the same time, having one of the worst defenses in the NFL when it was continuously bad until the final few games of the year when the Bengals started going on a run in their 5-game win streak, when most of the year the team was bad. I mean, that's a problem. That is a problem, and while Lou Anarumo is probably going to make this defense better than Gus Bradley, I will say that. Is it going to be franchise altering? No, I don't think so. I think you're going to see a defense that's going to be, at best, solid to good if they can reach that point. But we will have to see. But continuing on in the offseason, here's what they added in free agency. For once, the Colts actually spent money, which they almost never spend money in free agency. And while they didn't spend a whole bunch, they didn't do a whole overhaul, they added a couple really good pieces, starting with safety Cameron Bynum and corner Charvarius Ward. The secondary had issues last year, especially with their depth as certain players got hurt. And so adding talent here and one of their weak spots obviously is very important. And Cameron Bynum and Charvarius Ward doesn't get much better than that. These were two of the best guys at their positions in the free agent market. So to bring these guys in, very important, very much appreciated. They also brought in quarterback Daniel Jones to compete with Anthony Richardson. We'll talk more about him here in a moment. They also added kicker Spencer Schrader after cutting Matt Gay here after the season ended. And then for depth, they added Corey Ballantyne, Gallimore, Joe Bacci, and Khalil Herbert to back up Jonathan Taylor. They lost in free agency, however, a decent amount. They lost guard Will Freeze, however you want to pronounce it. I don't know how it's pronounced, I apologize. Center Ryan Kelly both actually went to the Vikings. They lost edge rusher Dio Odiengbo to the Chicago Bears. They lost kicker Matt Gay. He ended up going, I can't remember where he ended up going. I apologize. But they also lost Joe Flacco. They lost EJ Speed, tight end Kylan Granson as a depth. They lost Grant Stewart, Trey Sermon, and quarterback Sam Ellinger. So they lost a couple starters and also lost some quality depth pieces as well. And I don't think they did a good enough job to replace those losses. They kind of just did what they could, but not much replacement for what they lost, especially on the offensive line. That's where I'm really, really concerned that they didn't do enough to replace and fix those holes that were left. But in the draft, I thought they had a solid draft. They added Tyler Warren, tight end at Penn State, in the first round. In the second round, they added edge JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State, is a guy that a lot of people like. I thought it was pretty good, so I can get behind it. And then later on, they added corner Justin Wally to be a backup to Kenny Moore. They added offensive tackle Jalen Travis, a guy with upside. DJ Giddens at running back is someone that a lot of people like. I didn't do enough research on this guy personally to put my input, but a lot of people seem to like him. They also added quarterback Riley Leonard out of Notre Dame as a backup. Fine. And they also added defensive lineman Tim Smith and linebacker Hunter Wohler to add depth for now. So overall, is this team improved? Are the Colts better than what they were last year? In a weird way, I'm going to say yes, maybe slightly, but it's not much for me to consider it to be significant. And are they going to be a better football team? No, I ultimately do not think so. So with that being said, what do I think about this team? What are my overall thoughts on what this team is going to look like? This team is going to be taking a step back, and more than just a step back, I think they're going to take a massive step backwards. And the big issue for me is a lot of the depth at certain positions, but the big one is the quarterback position. Unfortunately, the quarterback position is going to run this team into the dirt this year. I don't think that Anthony Richardson is going to do very well. He got hurt during the offseason program, so he's going to be back for training camp, but he's already behind Daniel Jones, and bringing in Daniel Jones to be the starter this year for the Colts if he ends up winning the job, I am not excited about that at all. I'm someone that is known for not believing in Daniel Jones. I do not like Daniel Jones. I do not think he is a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't think he is. Say what you want about his 2022 season where he was really good with the Giants, or what, maybe it was 2021. No, it's 2022. But I don't see it. I don't see the appeal in Daniel Jones. I've seen enough tape. I've seen enough horrible play of seeing Daniel Jones on the field where I'm good. Like, I don't need to see any more. There's nothing that can change my mind barring him actually doing something crazy. So the quarterback situation is absolutely god awful. And at any point for the Colts with Anthony Richardson, if Anthony Richardson starts, I should say, if at any point Daniel Jones goes in over a healthy Anthony Richardson, the Colts are cooked. They're probably not going to be very good with Anthony Richardson out there anyways, but more specifically, I should say that Anthony Richardson is cooked. He is done as an Indianapolis Colt. The second that Daniel Jones starts over Anthony Richardson healthy, Anthony Richardson is done as an Indianapolis Colt, and that could come sooner than later. Daniel Jones could be the week 1 starter. That's very much possible right now, and reports coming out of Indy are that Daniel Jones is winning the job right now. So that's not great at all, and it's just a sad situation in general, because you never want your top 5 pick in the draft at quarterback to be beat out by a guy like Daniel Jones, who's never been able to consistently make it work in New York and was there for way longer than he should have. So this situation should never happen, but for the Colts, here we are again. So strengths, we'll get into a little bit of a positive here. Their run game is going to be very good again. Jonathan Taylor is great. Khalil Herbert as a backup, I really like. They're similar players. Their pass catchers are also a very strong strength, or it's a strength for the Colts in a big way. You have Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell, who's going into year 2. You can't forget Alec Pierce, Tyler Warren, the first round pick tight end we just talked about not too long ago. But also Mo Alley Cox, they brought him back as well. And then Jelani Woods, those guys are good backup tight ends. Probably would be low-level starters somewhere else. So the depth there at the tight end spot and at wide receiver is great. They also re-signed Ashton Doolin, who's been a good depth piece for them. The next thing is their defensive line. I really like it. Eric Armstead is really good. Or not Eric Armstead. He's on the Jaguars. DeForest Buckner. I like DeForest Buckner. He's good. Grover Stewart's a great interior defensive lineman. I really like Laiatu Latu, their first round pick last year going into year 2. I'm excited about that. And then who the second starting edge rusher is going to be, I'm not really sure right now, but overall, I can say this defensive line for the Colts should be pretty darn good. So that's why I'm making it a strength for them. And then lastly, their secondary is also should be really strong. Cam Bynum and adding Charvarius Ward is good. Kenny Moore is a very, very good slot corner, one of the best in the NFL. Overall, with the also depth that they added, I think the cornerback and secondary or overall secondary group should be pretty strong for the Colts for the most part. Weaknesses, though, this is where I really don't like the Colts, and this is where it's going to fall apart for them. Quarterback, I already ranted about. Linebacker is an issue. Zaire Franklin's great. He's an all-pro. But outside of that, they're bleeding talent. They could never really find a second starting linebacker to go next to Zaire Franklin and stay there for a long time. Even whenever they have good linebacker play, the second guy always leaves. And if it's not that, then you just don't have good linebacker play. And the third one is offensive line. Losing Will Freeze and Ryan Kelly is going to suck a lot. And the Colts offensive line last year was not as good as it normally was. This unit normally, as we've grown to know it, is one of the top best units in the entire NFL. This year, it was still good, but not as good. And losing Will Freeze and Ryan Kelly is going to hurt them even more. And so I'm not really confident about this offensive line compared to previous years. And I think they're going to take a step backwards. And in turn, it's going to hurt this offense in a pretty big way. So, after looking at what I think this team is going to look like, as my list falls over here, oh my God, what is it called? I'm having a brain fart. I don't mean to stop the show. I apologize. But oh my God, what's this called? A script. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, that's crazy that I forgot that. But let's continue. Let's get back on track here with the schedule analysis. Looking at the schedule here, as you can see it on screen, the Colts' schedule in terms of strength is apparently 8th easiest with a .464 percentage, but despite that, I might just take the strength of schedule thing out because that's not really relevant to what the schedule looks like and what I think it's going to look like. I think that this schedule is brutal. You're looking at 7 games here against playoff teams from last year. That also includes both games against the division rival Texans. But you also add on 4 more teams on this list that I think will be improved. and better than the Colts. I can't say which ones because I can't spoil those videos, but it is hard for me to see them winning a lot of games with this schedule because there's so many teams that I expect to be good and be better than the Colts. With the issues at quarterback, linebacker having issues outside of Zaire Franklin, and this offensive line really taking a step backward, I find it hard. I find it really hard to believe the Colts are going to win a lot of these games just because, I mean, those positions alone, more specifically offensive line and quarterback, are really going to slow this team down. And I just, God, like looking at this is tough. This is just really tough. There's no other way to put it, so I'm not going to repeat myself anymore. But this is just tough. It's a very tough schedule. And with all the teams that they're going up against, it's just going to be hard for them to win a lot of games. But specifically, some of the key matchups that I think will be important to watch: Week 1 in Miami and Week 2 against the Denver Broncos. Both home games. I put these together because the Miami Dolphins, I don't think are going to be very good this year. So kind of a mini spoiler there once we talk about them. The Denver Broncos are going to be good again. Of course, a lot of people are expecting them to take a step forward. So your Week 1 against Miami, this is a game that the Colts should probably win. A game that they're probably going to go toe-to-toe, be neck and neck. And then Week 2 versus Denver, I think they lose. But the important thing here is to let's see how competitive the Colts are. Or if they are really good against the Dolphins and maybe lose a close one against the Broncos, that could be like a positive thing to look at. If they are really close with the Colts and then get blown out of the water by the Broncos, that's not going to look good. Or let's say they're really good and they beat the Dolphins and the Broncos. Okay, now we're cooking something. So looking at these two games back to back and the disparity between how good Miami is and how Denver is, seeing how well the Colts compete against these two teams can set an early tone for how their season's going to go. So that's very important for the Colts to at least be competitive in both of these games. Do I think that's the case? No. But it'll be interesting to follow. These games are very important for the Colts. The next one is Week 6 against the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are going to be in a similar-ish spot, and they're in a similar spot as the Colts because, once again, I mean, they have a solid roster, but they have questions at quarterback. And so it'll be interesting to see how well they compete with each other, being in similar positions timeline-wise. So that's kind of like why I'm looking at the Cardinals as an important game. And then Week 9 against the Pittsburgh Steelers is one that I'm very interested in, just because the Steelers are going to be a team that, once again, likes to drag you through the mud, running the ball. They're probably going to throw the ball more with Aaron Rodgers, of course. That offense is probably going to look a little bit different, maybe a lot different. We'll have to see. But the Steelers are a very physically imposing football team, and one of the most physically imposing football teams the Colts have on their schedule. So I want to see how well they go up against a very physical, punch-you-in-the-mouth football team. Because the Colts normally are that team. They're a team that loves to run the ball a lot, can punch you in the mouth, drag you through the mud, and be physical. That's kind of what their identity has been. So for the Colts, here's a really good football team that follows a similar identity. How well do you compete against that unit? Ultimately, do I think they win this game? No, but it'll be interesting to see how well they compete against the Steelers. If they can compete well, that might be a positive indicator for their season. If they get blown out of the water, it will not be good. So, continuing with the division, I have the Colts finishing 4th, last place in the AFC South, not making the playoffs. Again, like I said, this Colts team, I don't expect to be very, very good. In the official record prediction, as I'll just jump into it here, no reason to continue elaborating. Here it is, 4-13. Now, I will say this. I will say one thing before the four Colts fans completely go after me. I will admit that 4-13 is a pretty low floor. Don't know. I'm not going to say with 100% confidence that the Colts are going to only win 4 games. It is very much possible that they win 6 or even 7. They're not that far off. If Anthony Richardson can play well, or God forbid Daniel Jones plays pretty well, this team is probably going to win way more than 4 games. But to me, because of the issues at quarterback with Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, and also the step back of the offensive line, I really have a hard time believing that the Colts are going to continue to be like mid. They can't be. They cannot afford to be mid. Once again, they have a solid roster without a good quarterback. How many years are the Colts going to go through this before it finally catches up to them and they end up, going into the dirt because of it? At some point they have to, and with Anthony Richardson and the hope of him becoming a franchise quarterback as low as it's ever been, and then Daniel Jones being the starter, if it's not Anthony Richardson and how I feel about Daniel Jones, I don't think they're going to win very many games. Regardless, the quarterback play is going to hold them back a lot. And while Shane Steichen, I don't believe gets fired if they go 4-13, believe it or not, I think he's really going to be on the hot seat next year. He very well could be fired after this season if the Colts go 4-13. So his seat's not exactly 100% safe. Like, it's a little warm. But, I mean, it's very easy to say, oh, yeah, we had terrible quarterback play. Better quarterback play would have gotten us more wins. It's something that I made with why I have the Titans, which you should go check out that video. Why I had them going 7-10, because I genuinely believed that if the Titans had better quarterback play, they would have won more games. And with the Colts, it's the same thing. If they can get better quarterback play, they will win more games. So I think that might keep Shane Steichen's job even with a 4-13 finish, but we will have to see. To wrap it up, the storylines that I'm looking to watch for the Colts. Number one is obviously Anthony Richardson. I think Anthony Richardson ends up being the week 1 starter for the Colts because they need to see, they need to give him another chance. They just need to see if he can do it. And if he can't, then you go to Daniel Jones and see whatever happens with him. So watching Anthony Richardson, I'm going to be interested to see how he plays. If he gets on the field, it's going to be every play, every drive is going to be magnified to a massive degree. And if Anthony Richardson can't get it done, like I said, Daniel Jones will be out there and we'll see what happens. The next thing is Lou Anarumo in this defense. It'll be interesting to see how competitive they are, how consistent they are. The only true issue with this defense is overall depth at linebacker behind Zaire Franklin, as I mentioned. So this defense should at least be somewhere around below average to average. I think they might be more close to average, more than below average. But with the offensive woes that this team is going to have, I think this defense may not look as good as they actually could be. I think this offense is going to not really help this defense a lot, and you're going to see the defense in some pretty bad situations. But I think this defense will be better than they were last year for sure. There's definitely an improvement there. Just how much will depend on how well Lou Anarumo gets these guys working together and playing consistently, along with just how bad this offense is. And if the offense is really, really bad, then it's going to hurt this defense and hurt how they look and perform. Number 3 is the offensive line. Again, I think they're going to take a step back this year, but I don't know. Is there a but? No, not really a but. I just think this offensive line is going to take a step backward, and if it's really bad, then this Colts offense is going to fall apart. But they do have a chance to prove me wrong. They have a chance to still be good, and if the Colts offensive line is good, then there might be some salvaging to this season. The offensive line being good is going to be so important for this offense and for the quarterbacks to play well and for the rest of this offense to operate properly, and everything's going to kind of ride or die with them. Honestly, I would say the offense will ride or die with this offensive line more than the quarterbacks, because the quarterbacks I'm just not confident in whatsoever. But hey, if your offensive line is good, maybe, just maybe, Anthony Richardson can be good, can finally put it together a little bit, or Daniel Jones at his ceiling can be serviceable. Maybe that's what happens. But right now, for the Colts, I'm just going to be looking at their offensive line just to see how much they dictate the offensive success. If they're bad, the offense is going to be awful. If they're good, maybe this offense can actually do some good things. And overall, number 4 is the competition level with the Colts. Again, they may be going 4-13. But like I said, this team does have the capacity to win more games. 4-13 is a little bit of a stretch to me, admittedly. But looking at their schedule, I really don't know how. I don't see a lot of winnable games for them. So 4-13, while that's a low record, they could be very competitive. where they might be in a bunch of one-score games. They might be in it till the end. You might have a couple games really go down to the wire. So even if they win only 4 games, this might be a situation where maybe the team is better than what their record indicates. So that's why I'm looking at the competition level. Because if this is a 4-13 team that was in, let's say, over 10 one-score games that they lost, okay, yeah, this team maybe just got a stroke of bad luck. But if this team is consistently looking unprepared, getting defeated by multiple scores, okay, yeah, this team just is not that good, and that might lead to Shane Steichen getting fired. But if this team can stay competitive, I think he keeps his job. But with that being said, that is my 2025 season preview for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to be fully honest, now that the whole discussion is over, really not my best effort, if I'm being honest. I'm still trying to adjust to making the schedule and, not making the schedule, but making the script, making, everything, getting it all in order. This is the first time I've actually done this to the depth that I've done it, so it is a little bit of a challenge. So I apologize for that as I'm continuing to grow. This is going to get a lot better as it progresses. I promise you that. It's going to get a lot better as I get more comfortable with the process, with the structure. But for now, that is going to do it for me. Thank you guys for listening. If you've made it this far, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe button. It would help me out tremendously. We're trying to reach 100 subscribers before the 2025 season starts. We're currently at 87. You guys are doing a fantastic job. So keep it up and smash those buttons for me. And also, it is free. If it's free, it's for me. You know what I'm saying? Also, Colts fans or any NFL fan, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think that 4-13 is too harsh? Do you think they're going to win more games? Do you think my record prediction is accurate? Let me know all your thoughts down there. Lastly, make sure you guys share this video and also follow me on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of it. I post clips on TikTok and YouTube Shorts all the time from the show, so go check those out and please like and follow over there as well. But for now, that is going to do it for me today, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and as always, I will see you all next time.